I mean, you just look around at a lot of these teams, leading up to the deadline. I know the deadline's today, but like leading up to the deadline, they've made splashy moves. They've made big moves. I think the Red Sox have made a lot of complimentary moves, but there has not been one move yet where I thought that's going to help get you over the hump in a winnable American League. Meanwhile, the Mariners had a huge move. The Orioles have had huge moves. The Yankees, I wouldn't, characterize Jazz
pitching,
as a huge move, but it was something. It was a good ad. He's a versatile player who can help them, fill needs in that lineup. So I just think, I like the moves the Red Sox have made so far, but I want to love them by the 6 o'clock today. You understand what I'm saying? So I need a little bit more from them.
Danny Jansen's been in the major leagues for 7 years. Kevin Gausman said that they didn't shake up the clubhouse.
Yeah.
But it was felt because he said this about Danny Jansen, the catcher. He has been here for a long time. He has been a staple in this lineup, in this stadium, on this field, and behind that plate. We're going to miss him. I understand the business, but he is a hell of a person, hell of a baseball player. That's big for a guy that can back up Connor Wong, who is just nails at the catcher spot.
Yes, he is.
98th percentile on blocks above average. He does chase a ton of pitches in the box when he's batting.
Yeah.
And he's had a down year, but just can you get the bat right? And can you just be a fill-in guy behind the dish where Wong's going to hold it down? So they go that. Paxton's a one. Again, you need more from your arms because you got a future one. You got a guy now, but Paxton, 4.43 ERA with the Dodgers, and he's last few years coming back from Tommy John has run out of gas second half of the season.
Yeah.
Can he put it together? But again, this is a end of rotation.
Yeah.
At highest a third starter, but they shouldn't need him in that spot.
He's a fifth starter. And he's familiar with here. Everybody loves a Big Maple. I get it. I don't have any problem with any of these moves. What I'm saying is I need more.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's too much to ask because again, I keep going back to this. The American League is very wide open. You're not dealing with the Phillies. You're not dealing with the Dodgers like in the NL, which is so top-heavy. But if you notice, it feels very much like an arms race to me. These teams in the American League, I guess, see it the same way as I do, as winnable, as wide open. And the Mariners, with a Rosarena, is a big boy move. The Orioles getting Eflin to go with Burns and that rotation is a big boy move. So I just want more from the Red Sox.
Who do you think else is going to get moved by the end of the deadline, Tuesday, 6 p.m.?
I mean, we all know the names. I like, one guy I have my eye on that I hope the Red Sox get involved with. And I was just reading this today, actually. It's funny you say this. The kid with the A's, Rooker. And the A's allegedly are a little hesitant to trade him, and it's like, why?
What are you doing?
You suck. Trade the kid. You're clearly in a complete rebuild. This kid can play. I think he fits in with the Sox personally. I'd like to see him, but I want to see where he ends up. There's a ton of people. There's a ton of players. I just hope the Red Sox get their hands on one of them or two of them or all of them.
Could be something like Vlad Jr. going to the Mariners.
Oh, don't say that.
They kept their top prospects. They still need offensive help. And Garrett Crochet, he's going to end up somewhere.
Yeah,
Where,
of course.
I don't know.
Of course.
He's going to end up somewhere.
He's another one. Vlad Jr. to the Mariners is not, I'm taking my ball and I'm going home. I don't like it. I don't like it. I didn't like when they got a Rosarena. That's a dude who can do everything, shows up in the postseason.
I mean, I love it because it's good for baseball and it makes it a lot more competitive. That's a team on Seattle been waiting on. I'm going 10,000 feet away. I like that ad by the Mariners because it makes them a competitive team.
I know, but I want the Red Sox to win the American League. Don't you see?
Yeah, but I'm looking at for the Red Sox to win the American League, they need to upgrade their team right now.
Yes.
And the Mariners, by going out and getting a Rosarena and Vlad Jr., it'll push the Red Sox even more.
Stop saying Vlad Jr. to them.
Iron sharpens iron.
Oh, I can't. I want him. In fact, at this point, if the Sox aren't going to get him, send his ass to the National League. I do not want to see Vlad Jr.
In a
different American League uniform. I just can't have it.
Get him out of the league altogether, let alone the division.
Send him to the National League.
All right, we're going to go through some greatest MLB trade deadline moves all time.
All right.
I'm going to go, I'd kind of put these out of order.
Okay.
But I'll go with my number one then, actually, because it directly translated to a ring.
Okay.
Aroldis Chapman traded to the Chicago Cubs.
I remember that. Yep.
2016.
I remember that.
That's when he was still touching 104 miles per hour whenever he wanted to.
Yeah.
He had 3 saves in the NLDS. Then in Game 5 of the World Series, pitched the 7th, 8th, 9th.
Yeah.
Because the Cleveland was up 3-1.
Right.
And Chicago was taxed. 7th and 8th in Game 6. Closed out Game 7. Blew the save. Rain came through. That saved the Cubs.
Yeah.
Ended up winning the game. Chicago wins the World Series.
Didn't he go back to the Yankees, though, at some point?
He was with the Yankees, traded to the Cubs as a pure rental.
Yeah.
Chicago got the ring, and he went back to New York.
And he went back. That's
but he
what I
got
thought.
a ring.
He got
the ring.
That's what he was there for. He should never buy a drink ever in the Cubs. All right, let's match here. You gave me your third. I'll give you my third. I went Nomar. Getting traded from the Sox for Cabrera and Minkiewicz, who we know were integral pieces in the World Series. But Nomar at that point, I remember he was injury prone. He was just kind of breaking down. And I thought it was smart timing-wise for the Red Sox to get rid of him at that time. And clearly it worked out for the Sox.
Number 2 for me, I went, and our boy Ante is going to like this. I did go Manny to the Dodgers.
Oh, yeah.
Red Sox playing it perfect, where like Manny was not handling it well leading up to the deadline. Like talking to the media, just it was getting nasty.
I remember that.
Then traded to the Dodgers, 17 home runs, 53 RBI in 53 games, a 12.32 OPS, and then in the playoffs, 520 with a 1747 OPS.
Wow.
10 RBI, 4 home runs.
Wow.
He turned Hollywood into Mannywood. It was great.
Yeah, I'm going Verlander traded from the Tigers to the Stros for prospects. And by the way, this was one of those deals that was literally done at the final seconds of the deadline. They were trying to get him, wasn't happening. They'd almost gave up on it. Threw another Hail Mary, probably threw in another prospect that you never heard of. And then the Tigers said, okay, fine. Here, take Justin Verlander, one of the greatest pitchers of his generation, sends him to the Stros, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Man, huge for Houston. Got to look back on that trade of how many foundational pieces they have with Detroit coming up now, but they're still 12 games out of any playoffs.
Didn't work.
That was a team I liked in their division. My number 1, CC Sabathia to the Brewers from Cleveland.
Oh, yeah.
Midway through the point was dominating for the Indians. Gets traded to Milwaukee and still almost won NL Cy Young. In 83 days, he pitched 130 innings.
Yeah.
7 complete games, 3 shutouts, 24 earned runs.
Yeah.
In 130 innings, and he led the Brewers to the first postseason appearance since 1982. Worth it for Milwaukee.
I'm going Nationals when they traded Trey Turner and Max Scherzer for prospects, including Josiah Gray, who ended up being a pretty good pitcher for the Nats right now. But Mad Max and Trey Turner to the Dodgers. And I remember at the time just being like, well, just give the Dodgers the damn World Series now. This is unfair. And Scherzer did his part, but Trey Turner did nothing. He did nothing for the Dodgers in the postseason. They didn't win the World Series because of it, if you ask me. But I just remember thinking at the time, like, how did the Dodgers do this? How they pull this off? Scherzer and Trey Turner, really, for a bunch of prospects. But I mean, even with that being said, because both of those guys we know left eventually, L.A., they didn't get a World Series because of it. Only in L.A. Dave Roberts.
I like you.
It is. How does
I like
that guy
you pulling your DC days for this one.
Well, yeah. I mean, I had to, right? But look, even this trade deadline.
It's because they had to play a full season.
I'm interested to see who's selling when you think they could be buying and vice versa. And what I mean is, I've been saying till I'm blue in the face for weeks now, I want Nathan Eovaldi back, right? To the Red Sox. And people are saying, well, you know, I mean, technically the Rangers aren't dead. They're still, you know, they still could be buyers or they may not want to be sellers. When I'm like, every time I look up, they're falling further and further out of the wild card hunt. They're falling further and further behind in that division. They're not playing well right now as we speak. And I would love for the Rangers to be sellers. They are not repeating as champs. So get up off Nathan Eovaldi, would you? Send them back to Boston. So I want to see some of those teams that are on the level as like a Rangers. Are you sellers? Because we see Tampa Bay. I mean, it's a fire sale. They've got rid of everyone. So I want to see some teams. Are they really going to be selling like I hope?
And it is. If you go out and get Eovaldi, he could teach these young guys how to play.
I know.
He could teach his young team how to perform in the playoffs. And he shows a guy like Priester who could be part of your future plans. Along with the Houcks, along with the Cutter Crawfords, the more important guys in your rotation. And Brian Bayo, maybe you could get in the help of Brian Bayo. He teaches those guys what it takes to win in the playoffs. And that's been a guy that's has the experience, been dependable.
Right.
So you'd want Texas to sell. And that could be another arm the Red Sox go out and get, and the price shouldn't be too high.
It's not.
Because he also would be a rental without team control after this
That's
season.
what I'm saying, but there's a number of teams in that sort of same zip code as the Rangers where they could stand pat, try to make a run for a postseason berth, or they could sell off all their assets, which is what I'm hoping happens.